Thanks, Ian.
Start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Troy, would you like to do that?
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Troy. I'll ask for the approval of the minutes from the meeting of February 28th.
So moved.
Been moved. Is there a second? Seconded. Any additions or corrections? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. No one has signed up to speak, correct? Rachel?
Correct.
For the public comments?
No public comment.
And Kevin, you're up to bat to do the local labor monitoring report for us for February. Good afternoon.
All right, so I've got the February 2022 monthly report. Covers our visits between the 1st and the 28th of February. During this period, we made 67 monthly site visits. We made 2 follow-up visits during the month of February. We checked with the residents of 566 workers. There was 1 issue of noncompliance. There was no proof of residence. The current USRE Manitow is 72.9%. And then there were 2 new COMIDA signs delivered during the month of February. That was to Sun Density Inc. and Whitney Baird Associates LLC.
Okay, any questions for Kevin?
Kevin, any idea when Manitow's gonna wrap up? I know they're,
Layton has said that their scope, which is primarily the one that I'm monitoring, is going to be hopefully done by August is their goal date for that. I mean, obviously Amazon has their own interior stuff that they're doing there, but Layton's scope, they're hoping by August. And their head count has roughly been around 9 to 12 individuals a day.
okay,
So
so,
it's pretty light crew,
pretty-
pretty much doing punch list items at this point.
got it. Thank you.
Any other questions for Kevin? All right, thank you very much.
Okay, have a great day, thank you.
You too. Greg, our financial report for February?
Great, thanks everyone. February, relatively quiet month. We're finishing up our year-end audit, which you'll hear from today. In terms of financials, cash is down a little bit compared to year-end, mainly just to paying down our payables that we had accrued at year-end. The restricted cash balance represents the funds that we have allocated to the workforce modernization plan, and kind of just to summarize that, we had allocated funds from our project fees. It amounted about $5.1 million in 22. We have committed against that 5.1 about 2.7 million to date. Now that has not all been spent yet, but we have about 2.5 more to go. To commit, we have spent currently about $387,000. So that's where the balance comes to about 4.7 million, where we stand today of funds spent. All of our other balances, AR prepaid really represents the PTAC funding that we account for every single month. Our accounts payable and all our other liabilities are tracking according to budget and expectations. And as you can see, our summary of our revenue and expenses at the bottom, it's been a slow couple months, which we had anticipated. We had talked about that at the end of last year, where not only our pipeline, we closed a lot of business in 22. And as you can see, that is represented in our financials and our cash position and our strong balance sheet. So, that is one of the things that we'll want to continue to look at and focus on. Hey, what's that deal flow look like, and where does that sit? But that 108,000, where it really represents 5 total projects, but 2 big ones, which represents probably 90% of that. So, everything else in terms of our expenses line up to where we are to budget. The majority of that program in community development is really the Empower program that we had committed to years ago, which represents it's a $1.5 million program over 3 years, so it's about $500,000 a year. And that's about it.
Okay, great. Thank you, Greg. Any questions on that? Okay, thank you very much. Let's see, we are gonna go head right into the applications. And our first project is the University Ave LLC Black Button Distilling. And I believe we have representatives, there they are. Chris Calabro or Calabro?
Right there.
Calabro. Great, yeah, managing member of University Avenue, and Jerry Goldman from Woods Oviatt. Anna, you wanna kick us off?
Thank you, Ann. University Ave LLC is proposing an expansion to its existing building for tenant Black Button Distilling. Founded in 2012, Black Button Distilling is relocating to a larger facility due to continued growth and expansion. The new location will increase space from 5,000 to 28,000 square feet to accommodate increased production as well as an expansion of their tasting room. The tasting room will account for only 14% of the total project costs, with the remainder going to manufacturing expansion. Black Button plans to create 10 new FTEs in addition to its existing 25 FTEs. The $3.9 million project is seeking a real property tax abatement and sales tax exemptions for the landlord and tenant, and the cost to benefit ratio is 46:1.
Thanks, Anna. So, would you like to add any color?
That was
To the-
pretty
to your
comprehensive.
project?
It was pretty comprehensive,
Anything else?
and wonderful staff in their normal way does a great job in reviewing. We always like to come in with cost-benefit ratios of 46:1. And the University Avenue building is a great building. I don't know if you folks are familiar with it over the years. Chris has taken it from basically a very underutilized industrial-type building to a tremendous mixed-use building, and this particular user is a true complement to the rest of the tenants that are there. The expansion of their business is really an important sign of the growth in Rochester. They're moving from Railroad Street to this particular location. And Jason Barrett would have hoped to have been here, but he couldn't be here today. Both Chris and Jason are familiar with the local labor requirements and are prepared to meet those without exception. And we have nothing more to add.
Certainly quadrupling your size
That's
is
correct.
a pretty impressive
It
effort
is.
because of the bourbon cream. So was there a tasting that was planned for this meeting?
We can arrange one.
Okay.
We can arrange one.
I'm not sure we can approve it without,
Without samples?
appropriate
Without sampling
sampling.
the product.
Taste
When we have a
testing.
list of the ribbon cutting, we'll make sure.
There you go. Are there questions from the board on this?
Just a real quick question. I'm assuming because the tasting room comprises such a small portion that we're not viewing this as retail. It's
Yes,
just
there's a benchmark. What is the number?
30%.
How much?
30%.
30,
you.
yeah. Any other questions?
Legislator Smith.
I don't have a question, but it's more of a comment. I believe during COVID, your business switched over and made hand
Hand sanitizer, right.
So I just want to thank you from the community. We certainly appreciate everybody, all hands-on during that time, and I know your company did that, so.
Yeah, Jason's done a great job with that, and no question about it.
Okay, any
Now,
other
there's
questions?
a lot of hand sanitizer all
Sure.
over the place, yeah, if anyone needs any.
All right, so there was a public hearing held on this matter on March 23rd. Were there any comments?
No comments.
Thank you. So I will ask you the local labor questions. Are you aware of our local labor policy?
Yes,
And do you anticipate any local labor exemptions at this time?
no,
And are you aware that any exemptions need to be requested 45 days in advance?
correct.
Okay, great. The seeker process is complete. I'll now ask for a motion for inducement and final resolution approving a real property tax abatement and sales tax exemption. Is there a motion?
A motion, Amy.
Moved by Jay, seconded by Joe. Any other questions? I'll take a roll call vote. Jay?
Yes.
Lisa?
Yes.
Troy?
Yay.
Joe?
Yes.
Rhett is absent, and Ann's a yay, so motion carries. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for all that you're doing in the community.
Thank you.
Good luck.
so that was our one application. And we have a bunch of modifications. So the first one is 10 Gold Street Properties. Anna?
Yes, thank you, Anne. 10 Gold Street Properties LLC developed a mixed-use project in the city of Rochester consisting of 40 units of student housing, retail, and office space. And this applicant, the Lofts at Gold Street LLC, is requesting approval to assume that property tax abatement, which was originally approved in May of 2016.
Okay. Any questions? Oh, we have a representative here, Yu-Chen Yang. Would you like to elaborate on this project?
Yes,
The
so-
modification?
Sure. So I'm the representative of OC Ventures. We're in the process of acquiring Lofts at Go, this property. And so we're a student housing owner operator across the country. We also own another property called the Hill at Rochester in Henrietta. So we're familiar with this market. And we have no intention of changing the use of the property upon acquisition. And so I'm happy to answer any questions from the board member here.
And what's the timetable?
So we're still going through our financing approval process, and this pilot transfer is a contingency or condition of the financing approval. So, if everything goes smoothly, we can, sometimes in April, that's our target timeline. but,
I see.
Depending on financing approval.
Okay. Any questions by the board on this modification? Okay, I'll ask for a motion to approve the sale of the facility and assignment of the real property tax abatement. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thanks, Jay. Seconded by Lisa. Any other comments, suggestions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Okay, Appalata LLC, an extension. Anna?
Thank you, Anne. Appalata LLC, a real estate holding company, is constructing a senior housing project in the town of Greece. The $58.6 million project was originally approved in May of 2015. The project was approved for a custom real property tax abatement, mortgage recording tax, and sales tax exemptions, and the applicant is seeking an extension of the sales tax exemption through December 31st of 2024 because of construction delays due to the pandemic, as well as material shortages.
Any questions on that by the board? Hearing none, I'll ask for a motion to approve an extension of the sales tax exemption through December 31, 2024.
I'll motion
Moved by
it.
Lisa, seconded by Joe. Thank you. Any other comments, questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next modification is A50 EB LLC.
Thank you, Anne. A50 EB LLC, a real estate holding company, is redeveloping the vacant Aqueduct building in the city of Rochester for its tenant Constellation Brands Incorporated. Phase 1 of the project was originally approved in September of 2020 to construct a new 2-level parking ramp. Construction on the parking garage has been delayed to coordinate with the city of Rochester's downtown Main Street improvement projects. The applicant is requesting an extension of the sales tax exemption through December 31st of 2023 to continue work on the garage.
Okay, any questions on that? All right, I'll ask for a motion to approve the extension of the sales tax exemption through December 31, 2023.
Motion.
Moved by Troy, seconded by Jay. Any other comments, edits? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, our executive director, Anna Liss, will talk to us about employee retention, payment, vacation time matters. Sounds very important.
Thank you, Anne. It is very important because, as you all know and can appreciate, our people, our team is the most important ingredient to the work that we do every day, every month. And COMIDA's personnel policies historically mirror those of the county. in February, County Executive Bello joined members of the legislature to announce a bipartisan agreement to improve the county's recruitment and retention incentive for current and future county employees. This amounted to, under a new agreement, a quarterly bonus increasing from $500 to $1,000 in retention payments running through October of 2024, as well as an automatic time bank of a 1 week PTO for new hires. So we are seeking a motion and approval from the COMIDA board to mirror those incentives for COMIDA's employees.
So the 1 week on the new employee, they still have to build their time to earn that week, right? Or are they just awarded that?
We're proposing that new hires come on automatically with an additional 1 week time off.
That they could take that week if they wanted to?
They could take that week if they wanted to.
Okay.
It's a competitive environment right now for talent. The county's experiencing that in a very significant way, and we want to be in lockstep with the county in terms of our human resources.
Certainly. We have a great team.
Yes, we do.
So whatever we can do, however we can bribe them.
I'll motion.
Okay, we have a motion to that effect. Troy, thank you.
Seconded.
Seconded by Lisa. Any comments, questions? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
On a quick question, so when the county makes these changes, they don't automatically flow through to COMIDA?
No,
You would think that.
Yeah,
Right.
that's,
Yeah.
that was,
right. We function separately. We have a separate governing body, this board.
okay.
And our staff is paid by COMIDA resources, so separate.
Understood.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, thank you for that. Did we vote? Yes, we
believe
did.
so, yes.
Yes. Okay. How about the dashboard?
The dashboard is looking good. You heard Greg mention that, closing deals was a little slower in this first quarter, but that's expected those numbers are expected to increase as the year goes on. Where we are to date is pretty much, I would say that we're doing pretty well. We've had, just one project in this agenda. I think it was just one project on the February agenda, but we have a number of applications in our pipeline, and we're expecting more and more activity as the year goes on. But the last 2 years were historic years in terms of project activity, so not necessarily expecting that momentum to continue apace, but we're still in a very strong position. And our workforce development fund, I'll go through this when I deliver our annual report presentation, but seeing a lot of great momentum with projects that we've supported in the last year, as well as our workforce development fund investments bearing fruit in terms of new trained candidates entering the talent pipeline. So, and our solar workforce development fund, of course, committed to date is $0, but there are conversations underway with the county to transfer proposed solar pilots to COMIDA. So we're not sure if we're going to see more solar pilots, but as you know, due to the lower job creation and solar projects, we're asking for a $25,000 contribution to our workforce development fund for any such project going forward. Any questions about this dashboard today?
So would that solar fund support MCC's solar program, or explain a little better on that solar workforce development?
We amended our policy last year, and Rachel, you could maybe talk a little bit about this.
So we included the $25,000 payment to go into a segregated account for solar projects. It's $25,000 at the time that they receive their sales tax benefits. We haven't done a pilot yet, and we haven't committed the funds to any particular recipient. Right now, it's just sitting there, ready for a proposal.
Right,
That's basically it.
right, and we don't have any existing applications right now. Just have had a couple of discussions with the Monroe County Law Department about their desire to have any future solar pilot request or inquiry routed directly to COMIDA rather than through the county and then to COMIDA. So, not quite sure what that might mean for us in the coming year. So we'll keep you all up to speed, of course.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions for Anna? All right, well, this is our annual meeting. Congratulations to us. We had a very fine year last year to report on. And Anna is going to review the annual report with us
Yes.
at this time.
Thank you. And I apologize for not making eye contact because I'm going to be kind of looking at my presentation at the same time as I talk about it. And Robin's passing that out right now.
Thank you.
So every year in March, we deliver our annual presentation. 26 new projects in 2022 resulted in $734 million in new company investments in Monroe County, tied to direct new job creation of 737 employees over a 3-year period, 1,948 jobs retained, and 1,191 construction jobs, and that's based on our cost-benefit analysis estimates. Some diversity in terms of geography throughout the county. 3 in Chili, 2 in Gates, 3 in Greece, 5 in Henrietta. Over on the east side, you had 1 in Mendon, 1 in Pittsford, 1 in Perrington, 2 in Penfield. Back on the west side, Wheatland, 1 project, Riga, 1 project, Sweden, 2 projects, and then in the city of Rochester, 4 projects in 2022. Notably, of course, we all hear about Li-Cycle regularly, whether it's in our COMIDA meetings or in the newspaper. The Li-Cycle North American Hub project was a 22 project. The warehouse component of the project was a 2021 project. The Hub project is the more technically sophisticated and advanced part of the overall investment. This is a $182 million project tied to 130 jobs. And when you tie that to the warehouse project, so calling it a hub and spoke, Li-Cycle's hub and spoke, it's over $500 million with over 270 new jobs. And I understand many of these jobs are being filled as we speak. This is a new manufacturing operation processing the black mass concentrate, which is an intermediate product generated from the recycling of lithium-ion batteries, many more of which are expected to enter our marketplace as people purchase and businesses manufacture more and more electric vehicles and electric battery-powered devices. So this project works in conjunction with the associated warehouse facility, as I mentioned, and at this time, the applicant is requested just a sales tax exemption, and an application for a pilot is expected to come at a later date. That's incorrect, because we already approved the pilot, right?
Right.
So, I'm sorry. Yeah. So we have a pilot on our books as well as a sales tax exemption. I apologize for the error. Historic project in terms of its overall economic impact, and it's the largest project to ever be considered for incentives by this board. Any comments or questions about Li-Cycle?
Very impressive. Give us a pat on the back on that one.
Yes.
And it's going well.
It's going well so far. There was a project information session for local construction companies on March 22nd. That was pretty well attended, and some great information was disseminated. Robin was there. Anna Voulet-Fitzsimmons from our PTAC/Apex Accelerator attended, and a lot of work is being awarded to locally, and we're keeping those lines of communication open with Li-Cycle and MassTech and others about what's to come down the pike.
Still a little concerned to hear from the local contractors some of their obstacles to be able to be in that forum to share their concerns and the answers back. Stay tuned, I guess, but that was interesting to hear back feedback from our local contractors participating in the conversation about the bid documents, and, you know, could it go smoother, I guess, was
Okay.
the question.
We're committed to bridging as many information gaps as we can, moving forward. Thank you. Cooper Vision Incorporated, a significant, sizable employer, over 1,000 employees in Greater Rochester, in our optics, photonics, and imaging sector, contact lenses. Cooper Vision is renovating and expanding their facility in Scottsville to accommodate growth of its Biofinity branded contact lens product. And this is a 5,500 square foot expansion, $23.5 million project that's tied to 100 new jobs. And it's also tied to another major investment that Cooper Vision is making as they're constructing another 150,000 square foot expansion to their adjacent facility in West Henrietta. So I believe this is at the Lehigh Station Business Park, Conar Properties property in West Henrietta / Scottsville. So an exciting project. Micropen Technologies Corporation, which was recently rebranded through an acquisition as Excelia Micropen. This is a 3D printing business in Honeywell Falls. This is a sales tax exemption only, another 2022 project. Construction of a 9,200 square foot addition to their existing 40,000 square foot facility in the village of Honeywell Falls. So about a 20% growth in their footprint in Honeywell Falls. A Micropen is involved in printed electronics, utilizing a proprietary printing system to design, develop, manufacture, and sell electrical devices and components. And their target industry sectors and their sales pipeline include medical, advanced manufacturing, defense, and aerospace markets. And this also notably will include a clean room space and office space. The clean room inventory in the Greater Rochester region could benefit from some increased inventory for our competitiveness. So great to know that there's another clean room space that's coming online in Honeywell Falls. This is a $3.8 million project tied to 10 new jobs. Any questions about Micropen? Very high tech. Toptica Photonics Incorporated, also in our OPI cluster. Toptica Photonics has been developing and manufacturing high-end laser systems for over 20 years. They're renowned for providing the widest wavelength coverage of lasers. And this was an exciting relocation opportunity for Monroe County as Toptica is in the process of moving to Pittsford from Ontario County to allow for growth and expansion. I think on top for as well as a number of other factors, talent retention and talent attraction is easier for them in the Greater Rochester metropolitan area. But they also looked at Colorado, so this was a highly competitive project, and renovations included offices, labs, another clean room space, and some warehousing. This is a $2.1 million project, 18 new jobs created, and there is a ribbon cutting scheduled for May 31st, so stay tuned because the members of this board will be invited to that ribbon cutting.
Great. What day is that? Oh, 5:30.
Sorry, May 31st. I'll send
31st.
those details
Okay.
over today. O'Connell Electric, another major employer in our area, full-service electrical contractor providing comprehensive design, build, construction, service, maintenance, and emergency response services. This proposed project was encompassing of 20,000 square feet expansion of a new two-story office building and training facility with 5 offices, a training room, and a common area. And this was needed to accommodate O'Connell's Power Division's continued growth and expansion. Howitt Bayview, this is a housing project from 2022. Howitt Bayview LLC is building a 60-unit, 4-story residential apartment building in the town of Penfield. First floor is to be set aside for seniors, 55 and over, with 7 of those units set aside for affordable housing, and the affordable component would total 7,040 square feet. Additionally, 3 units on the first floor will be set aside as fully ADA accessible. And as part of this project, Howitt Bayview is constructing a left-hand turn lane from Empire Boulevard onto Wilbur Tract Road to create a safer turning lane, which will also benefit neighboring businesses on Wilbur Tract Road. So some ancillary community benefits there. This is a $13 million project. Excuse me. I skipped ahead there. This is a $13 million project that's projected to create 4 jobs.
Since we've changed our housing policy, do we know how many affordable units have been created because of that change? Or is that something we could get?
We can get, how many, so how do you want that? Do you want what was approved or what's like available to date?
Just what's been approved.
Okay, we can get that
Yeah,
to you.
thank you.
We shared some data recently with the county executive's office as they're working with the city on updating, kind of benchmarking where we are with the recommendations of the Race Commission report. And we were asked in tandem with our community development division, how many for-profit affordable housing projects / units have come online since 2021, as well as how many not-for-profit developed affordable housing projects have come online. So we do have that data, but of course our new policy was put in place in the beginning of 2022. So we have some data, we'll just look at it and we'll share.
Thank you.
Would you compare that then to the year before to see if there was any?
Well, the year
Fall
before
off.
it would have been 0.
Right,
I'm just looking.
or would have been more, relatively.
Well, before we changed the policy, there was no requirement for affordable housing.
Right.
I'm just looking to see, since we changed the policy.
Did we change the policy? Did that impact the
Well,
the
yeah, certainly.
projects? Yeah,
But
right.
I'd love to be able to say, just to say, okay, there's now 50 more affordable
Right.
housing units than there would have been.
Than the year
And then just keep a running total of that.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah.
And you'd want new, so not like the Keeler project that was 100%
Yes.
affordable, that was.
Yeah,
that
really
would
what I'm interested in is if we had not changed the
Got it. Okay.
policy,
Okay.
these units would not be affordable.
Understood, yeah.
Like these 7 units would not have come to
Yep.
existence, so that's.
Okay.
Thanks, Jay. Our Workforce Development Fund, I referenced this earlier when going through our dashboard update for the month of March. This slide shows you which organizations we've touched with our Workforce Development Fund since its inception. The Young Adult Manufacturing Technical Experience Program, or YAMTEP, was given a $400,000, we entered into a $400,000 contract with YAMTEP. This mirrored a similar commitment from the city of Rochester, also $400,000 to increase YAMTEP's work, enhance their work and their impact to bring more young adults from throughout Monroe County, and in particular underserved parts of the county, into manufacturing, advanced manufacturing career opportunities. The MAP program, the Multi-Craft Apprenticeship Preparation Program, tied to also Project Phoenix. This not-for-profit organization is dedicated to increasing the pipeline of young adults entering the skilled trades career paths, particularly young adults from BIPOC communities of color in the city of Rochester, underserved and underreached, relatively underreached workforce talent pipeline. And this investment is also tied to a similar proposal that came before the county through our ARPA plans. MAP is looking at making some strategic expansions and increasing its capacity. The MCC Optics program, a signature workforce development program on an international scale, I think it's one of the only, or one of a very scant few, 2-year technician level, training programs to train technicians, advanced technicians into the optics, photonics, and imaging field. MCC is expanding its optics program with the construction of a new lab and looking to increase its training capacity as our area OPI companies have increasing hiring needs and would like to recruit more candidates out of the MCC program, 2 of which might be Cooper Vision and just other optics and photonics companies that on a monthly basis, it seems like we have at least one OPI company on our agenda. So this was a $500,000 investment, and that was tied to federal and state and other foundational partner investments into that same program at MCC. And then finally, the Rochester Building and Construction Trades Council workforce campaign. We made a $100,000 commitment. This is television, radio, social media to encourage more and more young adults to consider career paths in the skilled trades, apprenticeship programs, the union halls, looking at those career opportunities as an attractive alternative to an expensive 4-year college education. These are good jobs, high-paying jobs, very compelling ad campaign that thus far, as of end of last week, it's my understanding this has resulted in 673 new apprenticeship inquiries or applications submitted to the Rochester Building and Construction Trades Council across the various union shops. So, yeah, very good momentum there. And it'll be interesting to hear back from them about the impact, of that 673 number, how many have actually gotten these apprenticeships and, are officially going to enter that talent pipeline.
Troy, do you have any color on that?
The last number I heard for job openings in construction in our region and our sister cities were about 7,000 openings available. So these numbers, we're seeing a positive, and thank you, everybody with that effort. It's working.
Good.
It is working, so. But yeah, we have some serious voids to fill here shortly, and it's positive, but the number at the last meeting was 7,000 spread out with a number of the trades and some of the other positions in civil service and et cetera, fire department, everybody, so.
So of these 700 though, have you been able to get a sense of how many are now, further along or maybe already in an apprentice or approved to enter an apprenticeship program?
I can speak for what I know is going on in my house, and we're averaging about 5 new people a week putting to work. I had a high week of 11, but when we see by the end of March and into May, it's going to explode. I'm looking at 150 myself for just the sheet metal.
Wow.
One of the reasons I'm asking is if this has been successful as we're getting towards graduation season for high schools, is this something we should look at another way?
Yeah. I think there's certainly interest. Hearing from Grant and other stakeholders in this community, I think they're interested in keeping the campaign rolling. The city also matched our commitment. So it was a $100,000 commitment from COMIDA, and then the city chipped in its own $100,000, and then the Rochester Building and Construction Trades Council committed $100,000, so collectively was a $300,000 campaign.
Yeah, and that's pretty much gone for commercials on television are the killer. But it is hitting BOCES, MCC, the city schools. It's hitting where we're getting more activity from those entities than we've ever seen before. We're averaging once a month going to visit somebody that is circling back. We hit them early in the fall, and now to come back here in the spring, where are you? We have your information. What is your commitment? You're getting ready to graduate from high school here,
Yeah,
so.
well, that's my point, as they start to, you know, approach graduation and start thinking about the next phase of their lives.
Right.
Is this something, so, just,
No, it's
I guess
exciting.
for-
We're working on different ways. Pre-apprenticeship is a big conversation, thus solar. There's a 7,000 acre solar field in the queue right now, which is gonna need a ton of people. So,
and I'm sure that, I know it was part of the presentation that they gave, they were not only doing television, but they were doing social media, which they can certainly keep track of which ones resulted in more leads. So now that the production is done, the money can be put in, you know, we can tweak it to get even more effective. So that's, you know, something I feel like we should
Very good
openly
point.
consider.
Definitely. Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Troy. Modernization, a big word. In 2022, this board approved a COMIDA modernization initiative that set the stage for the Workforce Development Fund. An initial allocation of $2.5 million has since grown. I believe we're at $5 million now, or thereabouts. We've made some additional commitments to the Workforce Development Fund to keep it going, and of course, on a go-forward basis, 10% of project fee income will be earmarked for that Workforce Development Fund. And we're also looking at allocating a portion of fees, we talked about solar projects and setting aside some future yet to be realized solar project fees to that Workforce Development Fund as well. Looking at restructuring our staff to focus on connecting community stakeholders and businesses. We really doubled down this past year on focusing on outreach. Every other week, we sit down with our economic development team and go through in depth where are we seeking audiences, what events are we attending, what meetings are we accepting, what meetings are we initiating, making sure that we're reaching as diverse an audience as possible throughout Monroe County. And our economic development team grew this year. We have 2 economic development specialists answering up to our senior economic development specialist, and of course our whole COMIDA staff and our MCIDC staff. I'm going to talk about this in a moment, but modernization of COMIDA is tied back to the Monroe County Comprehensive Plan update. It's the first time the county will have updated its comprehensive plan in now going on 43 years. And the comprehensive plan update was funded by COMIDA. You'll recall at I think it was the February 2020 COMIDA board meeting, County Executive Bello approached the board with that ask, seeking COMIDA resources to help support that comp plan update. And the comp plan is going to provide us with some guidance about what does this community need right now, what are expected needs in the midterm and longer term, and how can COMIDA modernize and amend its program offerings to meet the existing needs and the future needs of the community, the workforce and the business community in particular, all tied back to our mission. We're going to be looking at updating our UTEP, our Uniform Project Evaluation Policy, and perhaps our Uniform Tax Exemption Policy to reflect those goals outlined in the Comprehensive Plan update, which has been branded as Plan Forward. I've had a privilege of seeing a couple of drafts of this comprehensive plan update thus far, and it's going to be finalized and ready for public consumption, I think in perhaps the summer of this year into the fall. We're going to be evaluating job creation requirements for projects seeking pilots and other benefits with a focus on equity and community benefits. This is something that's already underway. Jay, you pointed out our affordable housing set-aside requirement. We're convening our governance committee now much more regularly to take a good hard look at our local labor policy and adding teeth to that policy, more teeth to that policy. And in recent audiences with our counterparts throughout the state, we're idea sharing around how do other IDAs look at community benefits and overall impact in terms of how they score their projects. And we're going to look at perhaps making some adjustments in alignment with that plan forward rollout this year. Developing programs specifically geared towards small business expansion, such as a small business sales tax exemption program. And again, this is in accordance with what we're expecting to hear when we get that comprehensive plan update in our hands, is tweaking our programs and our capabilities such that they're more accessible to a smaller business community. Right now, unless your project is $1 million or more, it doesn't really make sense to come to COMIDA for a property tax abatement based on our fee structure. So making some adjustments there to make sure that we're reaching every business owner that has a need in this community. Our sister board, the Monroe County Industrial Development Corporation, is slated to roll out a microloan fund this summer, funded by the county's, a portion of the county's American Rescue Plan Act allocation to the tune of approximately $5.8 million. This is tied to a race commission recommendation that pointed out that the county was lacking in its program offerings for micro entrepreneurs in terms of helping them access financing. So this will help us to address that gap in our services portfolio, and COMIDA and MCIDC can work together to make sure that that program is successful. Our staff is constantly collaborating. It's possible that many of those microloan recipients might scale up in size and seek COMIDA incentives down the road. And then finally, working with our the Monroe County's newly established Department of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. When I say new, it was established through county charter in 2021. County Executive Bello just announced our new Chief Diversity Officer, David Scott. He's coming to meet with us on April 11th, so we can talk about collaboration. We're particularly planning on working with them very closely on that microloan fund, and then as COMIDA and as our team works on improving our offerings to meet the needs of the smaller business community, our colleagues in the Department of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion can certainly provide us with additional insights. And that concludes my presentation. There's a lot there. Apologize for word salad here and there in that presentation, but please, I'd like to open it up to comments and questions.
Great review of a very strong year, and it's remarkable, really, the significance, the impact that we're making, and the dollars that we're putting behind it, much more so than we have in the past, and taking those revenues from our projects and putting them right back into the community. So, very impressive.
Thank you.
That was a good job, well done.
Thank you, Joe. Credit to staff and to Rachel for all of their hard work behind the scenes and in front of the scenes at times.
Job.
Any questions for Anna on the annual report? Great job. Okay, thank you.
We'll take that as a substitute to reading a resolution.
There you go. Yeah, we could do that.
I'm covered for the whole year.
All right. Okay. All right, so the next item on our agenda is the audit committee report, and I'd like to welcome John Rinkowitz from Mengel, Metzger, and Barr, who is going to give us a high-level view at our financial audit. And the sort of the high notes there is there were no material weaknesses or deficiencies, no audits, material audits, or even smaller audits other than maybe timing adjustments. Staff cooperated with you, you cooperated with us. Pretty boring report. No, it was a pretty great report, thanks to everyone involved. So you want to talk to us about the highlights of the financial audit?
Sure. So, and again, as Ann mentioned, the audit went very smoothly and no material weaknesses or findings to report, so very good, positive report. The auditor's opinion is unqualified, unmodified, which is, so a clean opinion, that's very good, that's what you want in your report. I do point out that the audit report, or the financial statements currently are in draft form. We are waiting for some bond information, just some late stragglers reporting back to you folks. That is just information in the footnotes. It's not expected to change any of the numbers that are in the financial statements. So the numbers you have are good. And again, I met with the audit committee last week. We had a great conversation, lots of good questions, good conversation about everything. So I'm just gonna touch on a couple of the highlights. And kind of probably the biggest thing is the agency fees. So the fees were very high this year compared to last year, up about $5 million. Just a testament to how good a year you had with the programs. The one project, the life cycle, is probably the star there at $4 million. So that was really the big item. You did have another project for $1.5 million that helped with that increase. And actually 11 of your projects represent about $8.1 million of the $8.8 million balance. So a lot of large projects, so very good as far as your project fees this past year. Programs for economic development, so on the expense side, up about $500,000 compared to last year. In the annual report, you did notice the workforce development investments that you made this year. A lot of the increase is related to some of those projects as well as the ongoing expenses for your previous commitments. So you're able to increase your spending there, but your overall increase in that position is an increase of $6.2 million, which is compared to a $1.1 million increase the prior year. And your net position is now $15.1 million at year end. So the IDA had a very good year this year. Very positive results, and very good financial condition at year end. So that's
Any
it.
other highlights that you want to touch on? Or questions by the
Any-
board?
No, address any questions anyone has on the information or anything in the reports.
Everyone received a copy of the audit, right? All the materials behind that? I guess so. They've read the report cover to cover. But no, we do appreciate, your assistance in helping us through the audit and your firm, and so appreciate ever more what our staff does for us every day to make sure that we have a clean audit and great results. So, any questions for John or Anna? Okay, thank you very much. During the course of the audit committee, we also readopted our charter and reviewed our whistleblower policy, and the committee recommends that the full board accept the 2022 financial audit and readopt the whistleblower policy. And lastly, the committee reviewed its self-evaluation and noted that there were no issues. So, do we need a motion at this juncture? Yeah. So I'll ask for a motion. Yes.
Rachel, the other language that we modified is not gonna be anything motioned or addressed as far as?
The policy, the investment policy, that'll come under the financial committee.
Okay.
Yep, and then J too when we do
Thank
all the
you.
policies. Yep.
I'll motion.
Okay, thanks, Joy. Seconded by Lisa. Any comments, questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Okay, thank you. Great job, everyone, on that. All right, next up is the financial audit. Don't you love the annual meeting? Keeps us on our toes. So, the financial, or finance committee meeting, we met on March 21st to review the fee schedule. our Finance Committee charter and certain policies, and the committee readopted its charter and recommends a readoption of the investment and deposit policy, as well as the fee schedule with no changes. Lastly, the committee reviewed its self-evaluation and noted that there were no issues. Anything else that we want to do on that? Just-
This is where the changes in
Okay.
the investment and deposit policy.
Right. Okay, so we move on to Jay with the Governance Committee report.
Thank you, Chair Burr.
Mhm.
So the Governance Committee also met on the 21st of March. We reviewed our mission statement and performance measure metrics, and the committee recommends to the board that they be approved without any changes. There was a review of our bylaws. There were slight changes that were recommended to our bylaws, which all board members have received. Those were recommended for approval by the board. In addition, we also reviewed the whole host of policies that we see here. There were some of them there were changes that were recommended. The Governance Committee reviewed those changes and recommended their approval before the board. The one thing that I would like to note is the local labor policy. Since we are currently in the process of reviewing that and making some changes, we are currently going to recommend that the local labor policy be approved as is. And at a future date here in the coming month or two, we will recommend changes to that based on the outcome of the Governance Committee. So that's a bit of a change to what you see here. And finally, we did review our self-evaluations and really noted no issues or anything of concern that would require board action. So with that, there are several motions we need to make.
Any questions for Jay? He's the one that does all the heavy lifting. Look at all those policies
Right.
and procedures. But it was part of our, experiences is to go ahead and adopt all of these policies and procedures annually. So I will ask for a motion to readopt the policies with the changes as discussed. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Jay, seconded by Lisa.
So the minutes will reflect the
Yeah.
changes next, okay,
Yeah, I knew I was gonna mention that, yeah.
thank you.
So it was seconded by Lisa. Any other comments, questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Also, relative to our bylaws, any other points to make on that, other than,
Nope, they were noted they were reviewed at the Governance Committee and recommended for full board approval with the changes noted.
okay, great. So I will ask for a motion to readopt the bylaws with changes as discussed.
So
Motion.
moved.
Been moved by Troy, seconded by Jay. Any other comments? Questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And we also reviewed our mission and mission statement and our performance measurement report. Anything else we need to add to that?
Governance Committee recommended full board approval with no changes.
Okay, thank you. So I'll ask for a motion to readopt the mission statement and adopt the performance measurement report.
Motion.
I'll motion in.
Thanks, Joe, and seconded by Troy. Any other comments on that? All those in favor say aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, the next item, anything else then, Jay, on governance? Great job, appreciate it very much.
Committee did some hard work there. Appreciate everybody's involvement, Robin, and Rachel. Thank you for all your efforts there.
Okay, next item on our agenda is the election of officers. for the coming year, and so I'm going to ask for a motion to appoint the following officers. Ann Burr as chair, Jay Popley as vice chair, Troy Milne as secretary, Lisa Bolzner treasurer. Our ethics officer is chair of the audit committee, that's me. And the contracting officer is Anna Bliss. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Jay, seconded by anyone?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Joe. Any other additions, corrections? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, motion carries. Also, I need to ask for a motion to readopt the Audit Committee, Finance Committee, and Governments Committee charters.
I'll motion it.
Thank you, Joe. Seconded by Lisa. Any other comments, corrections? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Also, the board evaluated its own performance, and I have a copy of that here somewhere. But basically, and it will be submitted, the results of the survey will be submitted to the authority budget office as required. There were maybe just a couple of issues that we thought we might want to look into a little bit more, but on the main or on the whole, it was a very positive review of our own performance as a board. And I guess our last update is the Paris report. Anna, would you like to talk about that? How much fun you're all having?
Thank you. Well, I'm not in the bunker with Robin and Allison and Rachel, but they are spending countless hours, have been spending countless hours in the last several weeks to put our annual Paris report together. We're expecting to not necessarily submit it by the April 1 deadline because of how many projects we have open. And our call to action from the authority's budget office is to focus first and foremost on accuracy over timeliness, but of course we'll be getting it in as soon as possible. And I'd love to, if it's okay, put Rachel, Robin, and Allison in the hot seat to talk about any color commentary to our Paris report process this year.
No, we're in a good spot where each year we like tweak it and we get better and better at this. But as you know, we have, anywhere between 350 and 400 projects in a given year that all have to report to us. And we send them out the first week of January and tell them it's due 6 weeks later, mid-February, and then we have to chase people, and we're still chasing, but we're actually in a much better place than we were last year at this time. So we're not gonna make the April 1st deadline, but we will report back next month and let you know where we are. Hopefully, we're hoping, I don't wanna say anything because I don't know. But I just want to take a second and thank Rachel. Like, we are so fortunate to have her. Like, we're like her main client, pretty much. That she is like an attorney and able to dedicate so much time to helping us do this report. Like, I think it's kind of unheard of. So we wouldn't be able to do it without her.
My pleasure.
We pull pilots and we're like, wait, what does this mean? Why is it like that? And she has to kind of interpret sometimes.
I would agree. I mean, that's remarkable to have that much
Right.
of involvement in our operations
Mhm.
issues and the day-to-day, and I think we are about your own. You don't have time for other clients.
I know.
So, but
I don't have
it
time, but that's
takes
okay.
a
That's why I like it.
team effort,
Yeah.
for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Sure.
great job.
I have a silly and probably embarrassing question. What does Paris stand for?
Public Authorities Reporting
Information system.
Okay.
No, they didn't
It was
go to
instituted
Paris.
in 2009.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
By
hasn't
the
been
comptroller's
updated.
office.
Okay.
That's another
That's a lot of what
issue with
takes
it.
so long.
Okay.
Is that, and I think that, there's so many data point entries, so that just kind of understanding what each of us do. Allison sits with Paris Open, and Allison is also our mathematical whiz, so she's running the calculations and putting into Paris. Robin is putting into our own database
And
and checking the surveys and the insurance and
numbers.
all the things. And then I come in where I'm pulling pilots and then doing like a summary report that you'll see a spreadsheet of like a one line on every project, so that, and that'll be something new that you haven't seen
Great,
before.
great.
So we all have our own little job in the process.
Terrific, very impressive, great work, and thank you all too, Anna, for all that you've done throughout the year, to have so much to brag about and report on,
Right.
and to produce the results, publish the results for the authorities office. That's very time-consuming, but you're still here, so that means we can give you more to do.
Yeah.
No. Any
Okay.
questions by anyone? All right, our next meeting is April 18th of 2023, and I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Moved
Second.
by Troy and seconded by Jay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.